Hey guys, what's up? I'm Mila Clarke Buckley, the Hangry Woman, and today I'm doing a fun video called the diabetes tag. It's the Millennial diabetic tag, actually, and it was started by my friend Josephine. I'll leave her channel down below and also do a little pop-up of her cute little face up here. She's awesome, and she started this tag, tagged a few of us, and I'm so excited to be participating and doing it. I really hope that you guys do it. I'm gonna tag a few friends that I think would have really a lot of fun doing this. If I don't tag you, it doesn't mean I don't love you. Just do it and tag me and let me know that you did it, and I would just love to see a bunch of people do this. I think the more of us out there living with diabetes openly and honestly means the less shame, the less stigma, and the more people can find a community of people who are just like them and feel amazing about living with diabetes. I have the questions here on my phone, so I'm gonna be referencing that. So if I'm looking down and you're like, what's she looking at? It's my phone. Questions are on here. I'll also leave the links down below of the other people that I tag with this video, as well as Josephine's channel. So with that, let's get started. Actually, let's not get started. Let's disclaimer this. I have some sound going on outside, a little bit of construction happening outside of my house. I don't know if the mic is picking it up. If it is, I am so sorry. Hopefully I can mask it with some music or something. If you don't hear anything, then perfect. Pretend like I never said this. And with that, let's get started. So question one of the diabetes tag: what type of diabetes do you have? I have type 1.5 diabetes, or LADA. Bet you didn't know there was more than 2 types. If you didn't, I have a video on my type 2 diabetes diagnosis, as well as one on my type 1.5 diabetes diagnosis. But basically, type 1.5 diabetes is latent autoimmune diabetes in adults, or LADA, and it just means that I have slow onset type 1 diabetes. It's a pretty crazy phenomenon. I was misdiagnosed originally, so it's actually been a crazy few months finding out that I've been living with the wrong type of diabetes for a few years. When was I diagnosed? I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 2016, and then I was re-diagnosed and reclassified with LADA in 2020. So just a few months ago, in the craziness of 2020, I was re-diagnosed. What was your reaction to your diagnosis? I think my reaction to my first diagnosis was shame and helplessness and hopelessness, and I thought that I had done just so much wrong to have my body deserve what it got. Now knowing that nobody asks for, deserves, wants, or basically does anything to cause type 2 diabetes. I think for me, and I have a blog post actually about that first day that was just so frustrating to me. It was just, I just felt like I had done so many things wrong to get to that point, and so nobody had told me otherwise, and it was an overwhelming feeling of shame. I think over the few years that I was living with diabetes, I became more empowered, more knowledgeable, understood more about my type of diabetes and how it works and what is happening to your body, and that made me all the more passionate about telling other people that diabetes is not your fault. Then when I got re-diagnosed in 2020, I think the feeling was relief, and a weight had been lifted, because I felt like I had been restricting food and exercise and insulin, and taking on all of these terrible behaviors and all of these feelings and emotions that I didn't have to have. And so getting my diabetes diagnosis changed, and knowing that I was living with the kind of diabetes that was classified in the correct way just made me feel relief, because I felt like for so long I had been doing such a crappy job, and then it turned out that I literally couldn't have done anything any differently than I had done before. So first scared and ashamed, now empowered and relieved. How do you control your diabetes? So I would say that I am diligent about diet and exercise, more so about exercise. I just love good food, so I eat what I eat, basically. But the biggest things for me, you guys know if you follow my Instagram that I love my Peloton, so I'm constantly hopping on my Peloton and enjoying rides, especially Cody Rigsby rides. I love Alex Toussaint rides. I love Tunde rides. I mean, I have so much fun riding my Peloton, so exercise is like the big one for me. And then, of course, I take insulin, which is a huge part of my diabetes management, and I also take a couple of other oral medications and a once weekly injection called Ozempic. I also have a video on injecting Ozempic and what that's like. A few of you have asked me to do a video about weight loss with Ozempic, so I probably will do that as well. But that's pretty much how I manage. What has been your experience with diabetes medication? I think that initially I was taking a lot of medication that did not work. So it wasn't meant for me, it wasn't made for me, because I was living with the wrong diagnosis. Now that I have the correct diagnosis, I'm taking the proper medications. I have a video about all the medications I take for diabetes. I have a video about everything diabetes, so info card up there too, so you guys can watch that one. You're gonna have a lot to binge watch after I do this tag. But tons of experience with taking medications. I probably will end up on another medication due to some other potential complications that I may be facing. Not sure if they're diabetes related or not, but we'll find out. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. The best diabetic advice you've been given. I think the best advice I've been given about living with diabetes is that there's no reason to feel ashamed, no matter what type you have. And I think that that is something that people should carry with them all the time, because literally there is no reason to be ashamed. It's a condition of your body. People have crappy bodies, and that's that. You don't have to be ashamed about it, and you should never let anybody make you feel ashamed about it. And if they do, punch them in the face, is what I would say. Don't tell people that I gave you that advice. Don't go say, Mila's gonna punch you in the face because you are horrible about talking about diabetes. Like, you can do whatever you want. You have autonomy, but just tell people how you feel about the crappy things that they say about living with diabetes. What's your food philosophy since your diagnosis? It really has changed over time. I started with a very restrictive mindset and thinking that I couldn't eat anything and I couldn't like enjoy food, and that was just so wrong and like completely incorrect. And so my philosophy about food at this moment in time is that I will eat what I enjoy in moderation, and I will not worry about anything else. Overall, I do follow a pretty low carb diet, but like if I want something, I'm gonna figure out the best ways to fit it into my diet. The biggest challenge since your diagnosis, I would say the biggest challenge since my diagnosis is my misdiagnosis. It took so long for me to figure out what was wrong, and then it took even longer for me to get the proper diagnosis for me. So I think that going through that like 4 years of just like agony of not really knowing if something was wrong, and then not having the ability to be tested, you know, for me that was just really tough. It was really difficult, and now that I'm through it, I'm glad I'm through it, but it was something that was just like seemed like such a hard hurdle to overcome. And the last question, what is a diabetes resource that you love? And of course, I'm gonna plug my stuff, and I'm gonna say hangrywoman.com, especially if you are living with any type of diabetes and you want to like just learn how to make easy food swaps, you wanna learn how to make good food. I think all of those things are just, I don't know, like they're so important to the psychological side of living with diabetes, because so often when you're diagnosed, you're told that you have to operate from like a deficit mindset rather than a mindset of abundance. Like, here are all the things that I can enjoy, and here's how I tweak and tailor them to make them fit in my diet. And instead, you're kind of given this checklist of like, I have to eat this, 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 and this, and I can't have anything else. And I think that is so hard to live with. It's hard to live in a deficit mindset, you can't thrive that way. And so for me, it's all about like, what can I do to make the foods that I love still enjoyable, make them fit into my diet, and create them in a way that still keeps me healthy, still keeps my blood sugars in range, and ensures that like I'm doing the best possible thing for my body. So that's what I do on hangrywoman.com, and that's why it's personally my favorite resource online. But I'll leave a bunch of other resources down below because I shouldn't just shout myself out. You guys come and hear me talk about my food stuff all the time anyway. So I'll leave extra resources down below, but I love Beyond Type 1 and Beyond Type 2. I love Type 1 International is a great one. One of the people that I'm gonna tag in this tag, Rob Howe, has Diabetics Doing Things, amazing, amazing resource just for inspiration about people living amazing lives with diabetes and like very real, hard conversations. Like, oh, I love his stuff. I also am a fan of Diatribe. That's another one. Great, like kind of more science-based, data-based like organization, and they have a great blog as well. There's so many great diabetes resources. It's hard to number them all, but they're, you know, it's just so great to know that they exist for people and that they're around. So those are my favorites. I'll make sure to leave the links in the comments or whatever description if you want to check them out. And really that's it for this video. It was super fun to answer these questions and do this tag because I actually had to think about these, and like I just wanted to make sure that I gave you guys as much detail as possible about the things about diabetes that affect my life. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this video. The 3 people, I can't even do the hand signal. I'm tired. It's late, I'm tired. The 3 people I'm gonna tag for the Millennial Diabetic tag are, I mentioned him, Rob Howe. I'm gonna tag my friend Sarah Johnson, the Diabetic Cactus, and I'm gonna tag my friend Jessie Levine. All 3 have great YouTube channels and are really just like amazing people with diabetes, and I think that they'll have fun doing this tag as well for their YouTube channels. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe if you had fun watching. Like I said, even if I didn't tag you, please do the tag. It's really fun. The more people with diabetes joining in on a fun challenge, the better. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. So be sure to take care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.